Hiya, Vicky. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
That's a pleasure. I'm with Steve Adams there in the background.
Hiya, good to meet you, Vicky.
Great to meet you too.
Yeah.
So how's life in North Essex then, Vicky?
Whereabouts in North Essex, most of the point?
Oh, Colchester.
Oh yeah, I know Colchester fairly well.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say it was lovely sunny, but until yesterday, and it started raining yesterday and today, so it's been a bit of a rainy couple of days, but hopefully the sun will come back.
It's usually better weather down there, isn't it, than we get up north?
I think generally, yeah. I think it's probably warmer anyway. I don't know about what it's been like with you, where you are.
Yeah, sunshine.
We were supposed to reach 20s. We haven't, have we? It's been hovering around the 18 mark, but I know down south you must be pushing 20, and I know this weekend it's going to be 21 in London because I'm there.
Lovely.
That's
very
why.
nice.
Or I will be anyway. I will be on there Saturday morning, but yeah.
Vicky, before we talk about your writing and the novel Powerless, tell us a bit about your hobbies, what you do for fun outside of writing.
So I really like family history, actually. So that's one of my hobbies. Yeah. So I haven't done it much recently, with the writing and stuff. But yeah, I do quite a lot of family history research, and I've sort of gone quite far back in my research. And I did my DNA recently with Ancestry, so that sort of helped knock down some brick walls and find some more sort of cousins and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating and very addictive as well.
Did you find any really weird relatives you've got, or axe murderers potentially, like you find on these TV programs that you've been doing Ancestry on, haven't they?
They're mostly pretty boring, actually, and there's no criminals. I think on my mum's side it was like farmers in Cambridgeshire or something, and there's a whole long line of farmers, and then I think my dad's side they were a bit more tricky because they were in London, and then it was sort of trying to get back to where they were before London, and then with the help of someone else, I think they worked out they were from Wales or near Wales, I think. So yeah, but yeah,
no royal connections.
Well, when I did my ancestry DNA, I did actually kind of make some sort of royal connection really far back. So I worked out that my 29th great grandfather was William the Conqueror, but then probably a lot of people is related to him. So because there's a lot of sort of DNA. I've found lots of DNA matches along the line and stuff. So there's a few other kings on the way as well, but it's quite far back.
No Queen Victoria there?
No, unfortunately not.
So you're an English teacher. How long have you been an English teacher, and were you originally full-time? Because I think I noted you've gone part-time now.
Yeah. So, I originally actually started as an RE teacher. So I've been teaching 15 years altogether. So I taught RE for the majority of that time, actually, and then I also taught a bit of history, philosophy, and a bit of geography as well. But I've been teaching English at this school for about 3 years. This is my third year, so 15 years in total, but 3 years in English. But yeah, part-time at the moment.
So you got into teaching quite late then?
No, because I had a bit of a break in between. So I taught for 3 years, and then when I had my children, I had a 7-year break. So yeah, and then I went back to work once they were sort of at school.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
So tell us about the novel then, Powerless. What the genre it is, and what age range it's aimed at, Vicky?
So Powerless is a thriller, and it's kind of aimed at young adult, but I mean there's been such a huge range of people who have enjoyed it, all sorts of ages really. I mean I've got some avid like 70 plus kind of fans and I've got all ranges in between, and I've been to a couple of schools, and lots of teenagers have been really enthusiastic about it, so yeah, I'd say it's sort of suitable for everyone, but it's got teenagers in it with the main characters, and so yeah, it's young adult.
Sorry, I was going to say, you say the book is based about the two teenagers. Anything to do with your two teenage daughters by any chance?
No,
I have to ask that one.
Yeah. No, I mean they're very different to my teenage children. I mean, when my teenagers read it, they were kind of like, oh, they're a bit naive, aren't they? And like, we'd never do anything like that. but I mean that. But I have to say that some of the things that they say might occasionally find their way into it as a line, you know. So they have to be careful what they say. But and they did help me out a little bit with kind of the, you know, the talk and the speech as well, because sometimes they say, like, you know, we don't speak like that, Mum, you know, change that to this. And so yeah, it's good to have their opinion.
I started reading it today, Vicky. I think it's a brilliant opening. Abby, she's got this long lost sister, Beth, who turns up out the blue. I just want to carry on reading.
After 7 years away with a strange man, it does sound a bit intriguing, doesn't it? I must admit.
Oh, great. Glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah. So how did you manage to you got it published and you went through Bert and Mayer's books, is it?
Yes.
How did you connect with them?
So I got in touch with, there was another author that I was following on Twitter who's an ex-teacher, and she published her book through Bert and Mayer's, and I was sort of looking around for different publishers, and yeah, I think I then messaged her and said, you know, do you think they're any good? Would you recommend them? And she was, you know, full of praise for them, and so then I just went through their website, and you have to send them like 5 words pitching your book. So I had to then put my book down to 5 words and then pitched it to him. And then he came back, and about a month later, I think, and said, yeah, I'm interested. I was like, yay, cool.
Brilliant.
Wow.
So, yeah.
5 words sold it. Wow, that's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that difficult to come up with those 5 words? I've done a lot of writers struggle writing there, you know, the synopsis.
Oh, yeah, right.
Harder than writing the actual novel. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think I did agonize over the 5 words for a while. Yeah. Just trying to think, how am I going to summarize this whole thing on 5 words? Yeah, it's tricky.
Well, you must have picked the right words. It makes me wonder what they considered to be the right words, and how, you know, it amazes me. And they pick up a book based on that. Obviously, they can still knock you back after reading it, but
yeah. Well, I mean, after that, he then sent me a synopsis, and you know, and some, I think, chapter synopsis he wanted as well for each synopsis for each chapter. Yeah.
How are they helping with the marketing? Do you still have to input a lot of time for yourself for the marketing of the book?
So, because it's kind of a hybrid publisher, so I do majority of the marketing really. Yeah. So I mean, he's on Twitter, and he's sort of, you know, and he has his website as well. And he sometimes posts things on there, but the majority of it is me doing the marketing, which does take up quite a lot of time. I've had to learn a lot, but yeah, hopefully I'm really
Who designed the website? Was that yourself?
That was actually, so my website. Yeah, that was actually my teenage daughter, my youngest daughter. So yeah, she was just like, yeah, I'll make your website, Mum, because I'm not very good at the kind of technical stuff. So she just said she would do it for me, and yeah, no, she's been absolutely brilliant. And she set me up on Instagram as well, and she knows how all that works. And my other daughter helped me with TikTok. So.
Done a great job.
The website's nice and bright, isn't it? Yeah, it stands out when you're opening it. I feel it does anyway when I look earlier
definitely. Yeah, I really need to kind of learn how to update it myself, because she's doing her GCSEs at the moment. I don't feel like I can hassle her to update it constantly.
Yeah. You say that you're into you're part of a writing group.
Yes.
I think that was on your website. So would you recommend that sort of stuff to new writers, to get involved with a writing group? Do you find that's a big benefit?
Yeah, definitely.
You must have done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think I probably would have kept writing as long if I hadn't have had my writing group. I mean, it inspires you, it motivates you. You know, every time I meet up with them, I kind of feel like, oh yeah, I really want to write something tonight, because, you know, I'm kind of motivated from it. And you know, it's really good in our little writing group. There's only about 6 of us, but we're all writing different genres and different styles. You know, one of them's writing fantasy, historical fantasy, which is like got lots of detail in it, and lots of detailed descriptions, just totally different how I write. But it's so good to just listen to each other's and learn from each other and get feedback on your own work. And so yeah, I definitely recommend finding a writing group, because it's been so helpful.
I see you mentioned the acknowledgements on the book. Is it the midweek writers group? Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah, someone else named that when we started. Yeah, because we met originally. The few of us met on a writing course that we went, like an evening adult education evening class. And then we just kind of formed our little group from there, said, do you want to carry on meeting? And so we meet at a pub every 2 weeks.
Nice one.
Share our writing. Yeah.
Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. So when you write, then, I mean, obviously you've talked about this in your groups. What do you find your the best method for you? Is it do you set a time aside, or do you just wake up in the night and come up with ideas, or have you got a routine that you stick to?
I don't really have much of a routine, actually. I mean, because I'm a teacher, I can't really do it when I'm working because I'm so exhausted. I just don't have the energy at the end of the day. But I try and do it on days off or weekends. But I do a lot probably in the holidays, actually, like Easter holidays, summer holidays. Yeah. And I kind of prefer just to have lots of time and then just bang it all out in lots of chunks rather than doing a bit every day. I find that I work better like that. Yeah.
The novel Faceless, is that a standalone, or is that you plan on that being part of a series? As I see on your website, you say that you got 3 other works in progress.
Yeah, so no, it is a standalone, but I've pretty much finished another one which I'm sort of editing at the moment, which is it's a sort same sort of genre, thriller with teenagers. But yeah.
Oh right, okay. So with promoting your book, obviously you've got Bert and Myers, and how have you promoted yourself? You've used your social media. Actually, I noticed you've got 12.1 K followers on Twitter, which is pretty good, isn't it? Because it's your first novel, so you've obviously picked up a few over the years. Or more recent. Yeah.
I think it's been about a couple of years I've started on Twitter. I mean, I didn't have a clue what I was doing to start with. I think I just joined followed lots of writers, joined the writing community, and just sort of to pick up tips as I go along, really. I guess I'm a little bit obsessive and that I kind of go on there all the time and do stuff and I find that with Twitter, if you don't go on there all the time, you kind of get lost off the end of the page or something. People don't see you as much. So I feel like there's a pressure almost to keep going on there. So yeah, but I think it's funny though what kind of gets likes. Sometimes the most surprising thing gets likes. Sometimes you can put something intelligent on there and then they just totally ignore it, and then other times you'll just mention something totally random and you get like 200 likes.
Yeah, it is very much like that, I find as well. And you bang on about if you don't go on for a few days, you just dropped off, aren't you? You really are. You've got to keep on top of it. So yeah, that's work for you. So you find social media helps with your book sales, or particularly Twitter, or do you use others like Insta and Facebook, don't you, I think, and TikTok?
Yeah. So I think Twitter's the one I'm on the most. That's definitely helped with sales, especially the Kindle sales, I would say. And getting a lot of my reviews are from other authors and people that are on Twitter who've bought it off there, and sometimes it will just someone pop up and say, oh I've just read your book and I didn't even know they bought it. So it's really nice to kind of have that interaction on there. But yeah, I'm also on Instagram, which I'm fairly regular on there, and I do have Facebook, but I have a personal account, so I don't generally tend to do much marketing on that. But when I first published my novel, though, I kind of mentioned it on Facebook, and I have a lot of old friends on there who I went to school with and things like that. And I was actually really surprised at how supportive everyone was. And I didn't sort of expect it. I was kind of a bit like, because it's a bit kind of like, oh, do I tell everyone? I don't really want to boast about it. But so I kind of went on Facebook, and then quite a lot of my original sales on paperbacks were from people, like people I'd gone to school with who went, oh yeah, I'll buy your book. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's really good.
Excellent. Yeah.
And then
all sales help, doesn't matter where they come from, does it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then TikTok, TikTok I found more difficult because I'm not, as I said, hugely technical minded, and I've made I was sort of quite on it like to start with, but it's a lot of work, and if you don't have the sort of technical skills to produce these amazing videos, then it's difficult to get going. And I think maybe I'm about 20 years too old for TikTok. But some of my students at school found me on there and sort of like, oh yeah, like your book. So
fair enough. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. Sorry, Steve.
No, go on. It's all right.
I was just going to ask you, did you get a reaction from the kids in the school where you teach about the book?
Yeah,
was it all positive?
Everyone's been really positive actually, and the staff as well. Like a lot of staff went out and bought it as well, and some of the kids sort of came along and they said, "Oh, can you sign my book, miss?" And and then some of them I'll just be like teaching my lesson, and we have a bit of silent reading at the beginning, and one of them will just sit there casually and pull out my book and read it. I'm like, there's me inside trying not to show my excitement. But
that's a great honor in a way, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reading it.
Yeah, no, it is. It's
really
really
good.
fabulous. And then one of them actually, like one of my students sent me an email like when I first published it, saying, "Oh, I'm really proud of you, miss. I'm so happy to know a famous person and all this."
Excellent.
And then
Did
they
you
were
find?
asking,
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, and then they were asking questions like, "Oh, are you gonna be a millionaire when it comes out?" And I'm like, it doesn't quite work like that, I'm afraid.
Thinking, yeah, I need a few more than the odd book to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But every penny helps. Did Amazon you find help a lot, especially the reviews? I mean, it's a daft question in a way, because most writers that I know rely on a decent review from Amazon. But have you found that's been a help? Because you have got some good reviews or some great reviews on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's helpful for me personally because it kind of makes. Because I mean, before I had it published, I was absolutely dreading it, thinking, what if everyone gives me 1 star, and what if it's terrible and all this. But yeah, no, it's been really good for me to kind of build my confidence and think, yes, I'm doing the right thing here. But yeah, it's also good for sales as well. Sometimes I'll put it up on Twitter and say, "Yeah, I got this review," and I know some people say, "Oh, based on this review, I'm going to buy your book," and so it does kind of work, I think. And
yeah.
Vicky, can I ask you about the writing itself? What I was reading today, you're writing it in first person on this novel. Did you experiment with the tense? Did you start off with past tense or?
So when I sort of wrote another novel before that, which is a bit all over the place because it was the first one I wrote and I was not really any plan to it, and that one was actually in third person past tense. But then I started writing in present tense first person. I just found that kind of more flowed better and it was more natural. So I've just kind of stuck with that, really. I don't know. It just seems to suit me. So
from Abby's point of view.
Yeah, at the moment, then it switches to Beth in part 2. So.
Okay, spoiler.
I won't tell you anything else.
Okay. How did well, you did some research on the novel based on where it's located and all that, I assume. Did you have to put a lot of time into research of the book?
I didn't do a huge amount of research. So I mean, I kind of went on Google a little bit. I mean, the places where it's set are mainly places that I've been to. I mean, it's sort of set in Essex, Suffolk kind of areas. And there's also a part later on where it's set in the Lake District where we went on holiday. And so that's kind of based on my experiences there. So yeah, it's mainly sort of my own experiences.
Writing routine, do you write in a notebook first? Or do you have like post-it notes dotted all around your desk as you're writing?
No, I don't actually. I mainly write on my laptop sitting in on sofa because we've got an office, but it's more my husband's office, so I don't tend to use it, and it's a bit colder, so I tend to stick in the lounge. But yeah, I kind of would like kind of have that dream of like in films where they have the criminals have this, the police have this wall of kind of who the suspects are. I think that'd be really good for a book, but I haven't quite done that yet. But
okay, that's unusual. That actually, most writers we speak to, they say they use a notebook first, jotting down ideas, and then by the time they come to actually type it up, they're more or less in the second draft, if you like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't actually tend to do that much planning. I mean, I would do sort of more as I go along. So I normally just start off and write and just see where it goes and sort of where it takes me. And then I might sort of go back and do a bit more planning and so rewrite a little bit. But I feel like it spoils the creativity for me if I plan too much in advance. So yeah, kind of just goes.
So is it it was only published, or you brought it out in autumn last year, was it 2021?
Yes.
Have you had any interest or knocks on the door from potential movie makers or TV, things like BritBox, because they pick up all sorts? I know, I mean, it might sound a daft question, but I've known other people who've had been picked up from single books.
Oh wow, no, I haven't, unfortunately. No, I mean, I was thinking, oh yeah, it'd be great to like a TV drama or something. You can just, because I've watched lots of dramas and I thought, yeah, this would make a good drama. But no, haven't done yet. Not quite sure how to go about that, really.
Well, you never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
But yeah, it's always waiting to be discovered.
Yeah. Terry, did you, when you wrote your book, were you one of those who had post-it notes all over the fridge and all over the
everywhere,
office?
the whole room, on the ceiling? I'd lay back and look up the ceiling just to remind me of place names and things.
Oh yeah.
And as a visual aid, if nothing else, just to remind me spellings.
Yeah.
When you were plotting, going back to the way you plotted your book, Vicky, did you find that the characters sort of did things themselves of their own volition rather than what you'd actually prepared for the character to do?
Yeah, I think, because the way I write, it kind of is almost a bit of a surprise to me sometimes. Like, you know, so when people read my book and there's a twist and they go, wow, that was a surprise. I'm like, yeah, me too. It's kind of, it's just sort of, they do sort of pick up their own personality and take off themselves, I guess. Yeah.
I find that really hard to understand, but a lot of writers that we've spoke to often say the same, that the characters go down their own path and it's difficult to steer them back onto the direction you were after in the first place. And I still can't get my head around it, but I'm not a natural writer though, so I find it difficult, but it must be interesting.
And I think, some days I might write something, but if I wrote that same chapter the next day, it might be different. So it's kind of all depending on how I'm feeling at that time, I guess, as well.
I found that when the characters sort of come alive, if you look back on that, a couple of days later, you find that it's, the writing is quite good. It's I can't actually put it into words, but when they motivate themselves, it sort of comes from your subconscious. You can't sort of articulate it.
I guess it does really. I suppose the only problem with not planning is that, like you say, you have the names of places and everything. Sometimes I kind of don't have surnames for the characters or whatever, and then or I might have it back there, but then I've forgotten what it is, and so I might have sort of, as I'm writing, because I don't want to interrupt the flow, I'm just leave a blank, or like Mr. So and so, I don't know his name yet, or so I'll go and fill in those details later.
And then spend half an hour going back through finding out what surname you were giving him in the first place. It must be must be difficult.
That is a bit of a downside of not planning.
Did you get much feedback or any sales from your article that was in the Ipswich Star?
Well, I think because my school is in just outside Ipswich, I think that was what kind of created a lot of the sales at my school, from the students and the staff. I didn't really tell the students; they just sort of discovered it in the newspaper, and some of the parents bought it as well. Like, I mean, one of the students' pet mums gave it to someone to give it to me to sign and stuff, and then she wrote me a really nice review, so that was good. So that definitely really helped.
So I know you mentioned before you've got another novel that you're penning it. Anything planned after that, or are you going to stay down the same route with this, with a series, or?
I haven't really got a series planned. I'll probably just do another single one after that.
A single one,
But I'm sort of trying to start another one now just to get some ideas down. But I feel like I'm a bit stuck at the moment. but I'm sure the inspiration will come.
On your website, Vicky, you've got a load of reviews of other novels. What kind of novels do you actually read? Is it thrillers, crime thrillers?
I mainly love crime thrillers and thrillers, but I think since being on Twitter and following lots of other writers, I've sort of branched out and read lots of other things as well, and historical fiction I was reading recently, and some fantasy as well, and some sort of like more young adult stuff as well. And it's just been really good to kind of broaden my reading a bit. And but thrillers are kind of my favorite, I think.
Ones that particularly have families in them. You mentioned that in something I read somewhere.
I suppose, I don't know, I just find it really interesting finding dynamics and stuff.
Gives them I suppose you can put a different twist on when there's lots of family people involved.
Vicky, you can ask him what advice would you give for a would-be writer? Somebody who thinks they've got an idea in their head, but they haven't actually started, or they think it's impossible. But what advice? What would you advise them to do to get that on paper?
Well, I would just say, just if you have ideas, just write them down. Like just just start writing it. Because I think when you first start writing something, it's the most exciting time, because it could go anywhere, and it doesn't have to. And there's no pressure then to be perfect, because you're just writing it and getting down ideas. And if it sounds rubbish, it doesn't matter. You can change it later. So I think just keep writing, and definitely find a writing group as well that you can share your writing with, because I think that does really help. Get feedback, or just even read it to a family member, or get them to read it or something. It's really helpful. And later on, like when you've got a book going, get some beta readers, because they're really helpful.
How does that work with the beta readers? Is that sort of an exchange thing? Do you read each other's work, or do you actually pay them? How does it work?
Well, most of my beta readers were people I knew, but one of them was another author who I beta read her. She beta reads for me. But there was a couple of colleagues at work as well. And I had some friends and another writing friend, and some of my daughter's teenage friends as well, because sort of to get a teenage perspective on it. So yeah, I had a sort of different range of people. So that but they all do it for free, which was nice.
Okay. Yeah.
I just one other thing, Terry. I think I've just noticed that you say you teach part-time in Suffolk and you live in North Essex. Is that a problem commuting? Because that's not exactly that close, is it?
It's about half an hour drive.
Oh, it's not bad. Oh,
it's not too bad. Yeah, I quite like the commute, actually. It's a nice sort of wind down time, and listen to radio, chill out. and I can go the back roads as well, so I don't always have to go on main roads, and it's quite a nice scenic route. So yeah, it suits me.
Oh, it's not that far then. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's just we're right on the border, almost.
Yeah. I should have thought. I was trying to get my geography right, and I couldn't think properly. But yeah, now I know where you are now. I know where it is. Yeah, got it.
Vicky, looks like your time running out on us now. Maybe a final question. Where can people find your book?
So if you go on Amazon, you can find it on Amazon. Just search Powerless Vicky Ball. And there are other Powerlesses, so make sure you put in the Vicky Ball.
All right. Yeah. Anywhere else is it in? Can you buy it in good bookshops as well?
I think it was on the Waterstones and with W. Smith's website, but I'm not sure. I think, but it's not in shops. But you might be able to get it online on the website. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been an absolute joy chatting with you, Vicky.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
That's been really interesting. Yeah.
Let's keep in touch as we have been on Twitter.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
No problem. Cheers. You take care now.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.